Hi, everyone. Good evening. This is Deidre with Are You a CPS Victim Like Me? I unfortunately don't have my two co hosts with me this evening, Darren and Tiffany. They had some personal situations that occurred, so hopefully we will have them pick back up with us next week or the following. But I do have a guest this evening that is joining us with her husband, and they will be soon sharing their story about how they have been a victim of CPS. But for all my listeners out there that are just joining or are coming back for another show, thank you for tuning in. And I am a parent that has gone through a CPS case myself. And I have to apologize to everyone. I'm wearing a retainer, so sorry if I sound a little lispy, but I figured out I've solved one solution with hopefully using my kids' Xbox headset so I don't sound staticky, but now I have this, so bear with me. But like I was saying, I do my shows every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time under an attorney that practices here in Southern California, Mr. Vincent W. Davis. He's a CPS, a trial defense juvenile attorney. And anybody that would like to come on a future show of mine, you could always call into the 888 number on the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and my producer Grace can get you scheduled. And you could come on and share your story. And a little plus to coming on my show as a guest, as well as Athena and your husband will also get to take advantage of this, is you'll also qualify for a free 15-minute consultation with Mr. Davis for coming on and being a guest. So maybe if you have a case that's currently happening or if you have any questions, you can always take advantage of that as well. So if everybody could please like and subscribe to the show, it helps the algorithm, and hopefully we can get this word out to more parents that maybe haven't quite figured out what CPS is all about, unfortunately. So I am a mom of three boys, and my youngest, unfortunately, was born 2 months after my case was open. And like anybody knows that is familiar with CPS, if you have an open case, they like to take that newborn right from the hospital, which they did with mine. And fast forward 2 years with the foster parents that got my youngest, they couldn't have children of their own, unfortunately, and were handed my beautiful, healthy baby boy at 1 month old. And then there they were at my TPR hearing with their own attorney stating that they needed to hurry this case along and keep their son, which they successfully did. So unfortunately, I lost my youngest. My two older boys are with my mother, which is the legal guardian. And like most people would think that that would be the most ideal situation. But again, like what CPS loves to do is they take anybody that you're affiliated with, most likely your family, and they love to turn them against you. So my case opened in 2020, and let's just say I haven't really spoken to my mom since, other than communicating with her to, still visit with my kids. But I'm never going to stop fighting. I don't want to speak before it happens, but let's just say hopefully my two older boys will be home sometime soon, very soon here. And my youngest, again, it's like Mr. Davis said, it's one of those Hail Mary situations when that time comes. But, of course, I don't give up. I do get to still visit with him like once or twice a year. What's that? But hey, it's something. And, I do these shows to not only make myself feel like I'm still fighting for this cause, but for anybody else out there, because like most parents know, when I first came in contact with CPS, I had no idea what their true intentions were. And like most parents, if they find out you have a CPS case, they kind of look at you like, well, what did you do? You must have done something wrong. And you just think that they're there to protect your kids, and that's clearly not the case. So I love to have people on, like my guests this evening, that can share their stories so that also parents can see that not only are you not alone in this fight, but it's happening all over the world to everyone, unfortunately, that they can get their hands on. And with the rest of the show, I'd like to dedicate to Athena, and I believe it's, if I could see Daniel, to go ahead and share their story. And anybody listening or watching live, you can type in a comment or a question, and if we can see it, we'll hopefully respond to it and get those addressed. But other than that, Athena, Daniel, if you want to introduce yourself and share your story about how CPS has affected your life.
Well, so I went through a domestic violence litigated divorce in 2020 and 2021. Okay. And I didn't have any going-ons with CPS until in our domestic violence litigated divorce. We're in trial. This is, of course, during COVID, so I'm laid up from just having massive surgery. And my children are with the Office of Children's Services in an emergency interview because they got allegations that I had abused one of my daughters.
Mm.
I only just within the last about month and a half found out those were China cases. And I
Wow.
only just learned in the last 2 years what China stood for. I thought that when they said that our judge was a China judge, I thought that meant he was like business and industry, something not
I
family
thought
court.
I thought you were going to say something from China. So wow. Okay.
We're in Alaska, so we're like a major port, and I'm like, thinking, okay, so he's like something to do with them. Why is he overseeing a domestic violence litigated divorce? This does not make sense to me.
Mm.
And then fast forward to 2022, June 2022, Daniel and I had our son together. And 4 days later, all hell broke loose with my oldest daughter that we had no inkling that something was coming up. Our son was 4 days old, and my oldest ended up in the emergency room because she just out of nowhere, she came back from her dad's for the visitation Sunday night. I had our
Can I interrupt you and ask you what were the dynamics again? You were going through a divorce and you just had the one daughter?
3 with my
Okay, so you had,
ex-husband.
okay,
Yep.
and then you guys were kind of doing 50-50 or?
No, so he's still active Air National Guard. So with his work schedule, and I had been a homeschooling mom for 9 years at that point. So
Okay.
they stayed on their homeschool schedule. They stayed with their extracurriculars. They stayed with their weekly activities for everything.
So they just visited
And
periodically with the father when he was not working?
every non-drill weekend or when he was not out of the state or the country on vacation.
Okay. And then you met your now current husband. How soon
Um,
after your divorce?
Before my divorce.
Oh,
That's the crazy
okay.
part. So my husband and I now, we met through my Army recruiter and big sister mentor. Um, she and I are still friends 20 years later. And her brother-in-law was coming up to visit.
Mm-hmm.
And
No, the
so we
reason why
met.
I'm asking is to kind of set the table for maybe you're eventually going to get to it, but why your ex-husband or father of your first 3 children, maybe why he might have done things that probably you'll address later. I was trying to think maybe if you were still currently married and then maybe started with your current husband, was there some animosity maybe or?
We met in 2018 technically, and I
Okay.
don't remember it.
Oh, okay.
We met in May of 2019, and yesterday, or the 28th, was the 7-year anniversary of my daddy passing away. So
Okay.
I
Sorry about
don't
that.
remember very much of 2018
Mm-hmm.
because I was grieving a lot. I lost my best friend. He was my bonus dad.
Mm. Sorry about
So
that.
I don't remember meeting my husband in 2018. And I feel terrible about that because we met at a barbecue. I remember the barbecue. My ex-husband was there with us, which was shocking for everybody. They're like, wait, he's actually here? He actually exists? Um, there was a running joke that he was just a figment of my imagination because nobody ever saw him.
Because of his work or yeah.
No, he didn't like hanging out with my Army buddies.
Oh. Well, maybe because your current husband now was one of them at the time.
No, so my husband was Marine, but
Oh, okay.
his brother was Army, and his sister-in-law was Army, and I was Army. And my ex-husband is Air Force, now Alaska Air
Mm,
National Guard.
mm-hmm,
So it's just, where my family and my friends, we have that friendly sibling rivalry, military-wise.
mm-hmm.
My ex-husband does not have that same friendliness.
Like we're all fighting for the same country, but okay. So sorry to digress, but so you guys got a divorce because of your current husband, or just because of other reasons?
No, because of the domestic violence.
Got it. Okay.
He got back from his deployment in 2020, and we had been living separately in the same house for a year and a half, and it was hell.
I can
My
imagine.
at the time mental health provider was like, don't let him think anything's going on. Do not let him know you have plans. Whatever you do, do not tell him you are looking at places actively. But I did let him know I was actively looking for places. I was like, hey, dude, give me the child support that you're supposed to so that I can show that I can afford a place. Because
So you
my
did everything your
disability
therapist told you not to do.
well, yeah, and telling him because
You kind
rent,
of had to.
yeah, rent was as much as I was paying for a mortgage
Wow.
for a house a third of the size.
Yeah.
And I was freaking out. And I'm like, holy cow, I'm a disabled Army vet. Um, my income is not 3 times that. This is insane.
Now,
So
you guys were
finally,
divorced though and still living together, but was he not okay then with you finally
no.
leaving to get your
So
own place, or?
at that point, we were separated, not divorced. He was telling his work that I was being difficult and hard to live with. I was like, dude, just get him to sign the divorce papers. He was going back to Texas where he had a fiance and seeing her.
Whoa.
And it was this huge, ugly thing.
Yeah.
And so then in 2020, October of 2020, I went and looked at a place and I was like, hey, look, I'm a disabled vet. He's supposed to be paying child support. This is what the state calculated, but that's not realistically what I have. I know you say that I need to show that I can pay 3 times the amount, but I promise I will never be late. You will never have a shut off notice for any of the bills, and we won't destroy the house. I just need somewhere safe for my kids and I. She goes, I'm a vet myself. I trust you. And she gave me keys, and I had to wait a month for all the paperwork and everything. And I cried the day I got the keys because I never thought it was going to get there. I never thought I was going to make it to that point.
Mm-hmm.
My husband now happened to be here. He was up visiting. I, at that time, did not know that he and his ex-partner were having issues.
It's kind of like that couple. I don't know if you saw a couple weeks ago, I think that was on my show, that they were both going through like an ugly divorce and they were kind of friends in a way. And then their friendship grew. And then now they're together. But both of the exes came together and took their kids each. Like, it's kind of crazy, but I feel like
Yep.
when you have all those negative traits of like narcissism and domestic violence, I feel like they're kind of like similar in personalities, if you know what I mean.
Yep. So
And
with
funny how
domestic
they always end up
violence,
with the kids.
yeah, with domestic violence, it is categorized and labeled as post-separation abuse. And I have 4 wonderful mental health providers right now. 2 of them are court ordered.
I think you're being
Like,
sarcastic, right?
no, 2 of them are literally court ordered because my ex-husband told the court that I'm a narcissist. And I'm like,
Oh, the narcissist telling somebody else that they are. Okay, well.
I'm like, literally, seriously? Okay, whatever, dude. So my husband now was here in 2020 when I was moving out.
Mm-hmm.
And I called for reinforcements because my ex-husband was like, look, we're still married at the time. And he says, whatever is left in the house when you leave today, I'm taking to the fucking dump. And I'm like, I call his first sergeant and I'm like, look, your boy seriously needs help. I'm trying to get our stuff packed and moved with 3 kids underfoot, and he is in here screaming and making my life a living hell. Well, his first sergeant's response was, if you feel that you or your stuff are in danger and your children are in danger, then please call the appropriate authorities. So I
Yeah, don't
called
do
our
it.
local police department. And they said, we can give you a civil standby, but we can't be there the entire time you're packing an entire household. Do you have other friends and family members you can call for help?
Why
So
couldn't they
I
order him
called,
to leave the house for the day or two?
yep, they wouldn't. And so I was like, great. So I called and my recruiter showed up with her twin teenage boys and my now husband, and another friend of mine's son, teenage son, and her brothers showed up. And they're
Did your
like, all right, let's
ex-husband
do it.
stay there once everybody showed up?
Oh, as soon as they showed up,
He
oh,
left.
I'm so sorry that it's come to this. She can
Oh
take all the
gosh.
time she needs. Are you
Wow.
freaking kidding me?
Sounds about right.
He didn't have nothing to say to me.
Yeah, he didn't even look at Daniel. And I was like, dude. Meanwhile, okay, so my husband, before he became disabled, he was a plumber. It just so happened that in the former marital house, the dishwasher went out.
Mm-hmm.
And home insurance was like, or a home warranty was like, they can't get the part because it's during COVID for like another 8 months. So we'll cover this much to replace the washing machine. So we got a new washing machine, but they didn't install it. And he was like, oh, I can install it, no problem. My ex-husband would not allow him to
Did you guys
install.
already start dating at that point?
No.
Nope.
He
We were
just had an
literally just,
inclination that he didn't like him?
I was like, dude, literally, it is Wayne's brother saying he can come over and fix this. No, I don't
He
need
must
any
have
of
had
your
some kind of
judgment.
inclination that there was maybe something going on because typically, why would you care who did it? If someone's going to put it in for you, let them put it in for you, you know?
I think we had spoken maybe a dozen times at that point.
Oh, well, his loss because you were moving out, right? So you don't care if there's a washer there or not.
And we'd spoken a dozen times over between 2019 and the end of 2020. Because this was November of 2020 at that point. So then fast forward to we're divorced. Our divorce was finalized June 28th, 2021.
Uh-huh.
And Daniel and I got married because he asked me during the divorce trial, I have OCS showing up at my door, knocking on my door at 8:00 in the morning, banging on the door, telling me they need to take my kids right now to interview. And I'm like, what? And he asked me, will you marry me?
No, you didn't. Daniel.
My world is falling apart.
Daniel, what made you feel like at that right particular moment, I should just let these words out?
Listen, you're never going to get a more down moment than OCS knocking on your door. And if ever you need a pick me up, it is at that very moment.
Wow, that should be a story in itself. That's hilarious. Also, he probably thought, I'll get her real, like true answer right now in the heat of things. Like, how does she really feel? Right?
Well, I didn't think she'd say no for sure.
Yeah, really. That's what I mean. This is my opportunity. That's kind of funny. I think I would like you around whenever I have some kind of trauma or, life catastrophe, because at least you could bring the light to the moment, right?
You kind of have to.
And at this point, so he asked me, our daughters are at his brother and sister-in-law's house, and we're going back to our house to grab something that the girls forgot because it was one of their sleep blankets they could not sleep without. And I'm like waiting for my phone to ring saying we're going to be there at this time, and I'm terrified. Like I'm terrified to breathe. And
wait, but why did they show up? Did they get an allegation from somebody?
They got an allegation, and I asked my ex-husband at the time. I was like, hey, they just showed up. He's like, I don't know anything. That's your business. So in the divorce trial, I scheduled with them to do their interview. I was cooperative after telling them come back with a warrant.
So they did take them the first time they showed up, or no, you made them come back?
Nope, I made them come back. They did not.
Okay, so you were already kind of prepared at this point when they did take them because you made them leave and come back?
Well, they showed up at my door, and my first response was, "You're here on allegations. I am going through a domestic violence litigated divorce. This is my attorney's name. Come back with a warrant." And he's like, "Well, I just need to." This is my attorney's name. I'm recovering from major surgery. I'm supposed to be on bed rest right now. You don't have a warrant right now. Contact my attorney when you get one. Come back with it. So
How long did it take before they did that? I'm curious.
they didn't. They did not come
Wait.
back with a warrant.
So I'm confused. When did they take your kids?
So OCS didn't. The judge did.
Oh, see, I thought when they knocked on the door to take the kids, when he made the joke about the marriage, I thought they were successful at that point. Okay, so no,
No,
the kids weren't taken. Okay.
It wasn't
Nope.
the first time they tried, though.
Nope, and that wasn't the first time they tried. No, that was the first time they tried.
Oh, that wasn't the last time they tried.
That wasn't the last time they tried. Yeah, no.
So they came again even without a warrant?
Yep.
Wow.
So then the next time we heard from them, after I get everything closing, I cooperate with them. And this entire time, during that investigation, they never told me that it was a China case, that all three of them were China cases.
Can you explain what that means? Because I don't know what that means.
So China cases are children in need of assistance, child or children in need of assistance. Those
Isn't that kind of considered every
now.
case?
No.
Maybe that's something only in Alaska, huh?
I don't know. I think it's in other states. I don't know what it's called in every state.
Oh, okay. Because I'm in California, according to what I've learned here in California is they can only remove a child if it is imminent danger and there is no like alternative type of situations that they could take them to or whatever. I don't know. Mainly if they have a warrant, but only if it's imminent. I felt like danger.
Supposedly.
Anyway, sorry.
But OCS.
I'm just interrupting you. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. So now we're in 2022. We attempted to go out of state during the winter of 2021 to go see my family because I hadn't been out of state in 5 years. My ex-husband blocked us from being able to leave state with the girls. So I'm heavily pregnant with our son in March of 2022. And I'm like, the former marital house just sold. We have the money right now. We're going to go to Las Vegas for a week as a family and see Michaela, his daughter in Nevada.
Oh, don't
before
say any
I'm
names.
going on travel restriction. Oh, sorry.
Try not to say any kids' names. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. So I'm very heavily pregnant at the time, and we go to Nevada for 10 days as a family.
That does not sound appealing, being 9 months pregnant.
I drank man milkshake while I was there.
I can just imagine. I'm hot when I'm not pregnant or on just a normal day, but whoa, 9 months pregnant in Vegas?
And I'm from Alaska. So Alaska in March is like 20 degrees if you're lucky.
Wow.
So, we go from 20 degrees if we're lucky to 90
to like 120. Okay.
So they're called dependency cases in California instead of China cases.
Oh, okay.
So
thank you.
My pregnancy up until that point, my ex-husband kept telling our daughters that I was faking my pregnancy. I was just fat and looking for attention.
Wow.
We were planning our family wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
Because we got married right after my divorce was finalized, but we wanted a family celebration.
Yeah.
We did not tell the children or my ex-husband or his ex that we were already married. So my ex was telling our daughters that I would only ever be married to him and I was never going to get married again. We were just looking for attention. So then when we had Danny, sorry.
I know it's hard. Yeah.
Our kids were all there. All four of our daughters were there. And then the visitation immediately following us having our son, our world fell apart in a way I never
I'm
imagined.
sure because the dad, all of his
Yep.
so-called stories about you were not obviously true. So now he looked like the dumb,
So
you know what?
the Sunday we get them back from their dad, because they go Friday from 6 p.m. to Sunday 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So Sunday we get home. It's Father's Day. So I take 3-day-old baby directly to our bedroom. It's time to change him and feed him. And Daniel's making pizza because it's Father's Day, and our traditional Sunday dinner anyway is pizza when we're not having family dinner with his brother and sister-in-law, because he likes pizza. I don't like pizza.
How could you
So
not
I
like
had
pizza?
I like mashed potatoes and rice, and I could live off of them.
Okay, those are both carbs, just not carbs in pizza form.
Yeah,
Hey,
they're my
to
preferred
each
carbs.
their own.
Like, you can top rice and mashed potatoes and almost anyway.
Put it on some pizza dough. There you go.
Don't give him ideas for that.
Hey, that might be for dinner next Sunday. Oh man.
So he comes in to check on me. He refills my water for me and makes sure that baby and I are all good. And he goes to go back out of our bedroom. And when he opens our bedroom door, we have a straight shot view into our 2 younger daughters' bedroom. And we see our oldest with an axe above her head, and her 3 younger sisters cornered between the 2 beds.
Like a real axe?
Yes.
Like a real axe.
Like where the heck did she get that from?
So as Daniel was coming into our bedroom, we were in the process of moving because we were going to buy property, and I have a dream I'm not giving up yet. So when Daniel came into our bedroom, he had literally just moved the axe from behind our bedroom door to the outside of our bedroom door and said, "Don't let me forget this when we go to storage in the morning."
Not thinking you'd end up seeing one of your daughters with it in her hands. I mean,
Right.
wow.
So I have baby feeding, and he moves quickly, disarms her, swats her one time on the butt, and says, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" And she goes, "It has the guard on it. It had the safety guard on it, but what are you thinking? You have your 3 younger sisters in tears, terrified."
Has she ever
Daniel
had
was in
any
our
kind of
bedroom alone.
personality that you guys have been concerned about in the past?
Never in her
Whoa.
life.
Wow.
Like, this is completely unlike anything I've ever seen or experienced before, ever with her. And I'm like, what the heck? So the next day, my second daughter had hurt her toe at her dad's house, and she swore it was broken. So we go to breakfast because I just had a baby 4 days ago. I'm not standing and cooking. My everything is falling out still. So we go to breakfast.
Sorry. I had 3 C-sections, so I mean, I could imagine it, but not because mine was all falling out kind of this way, I felt like, if you know what I mean.
I can imagine, because actually
Oh,
I can't
God.
imagine. My
No, my
stomach
last,
surgery was an appendectomy at 3, so I can't imagine
yeah.
hugs, mom.
Now, my
I
last one,
can't imagine.
quick side story. My last child, you know, once you have one C-section, you're a repeat. And so I have the same OB for all 3 kids. He's just, I swear by him. My incision for all 3 still is only like this big. But I feel like I can feel the needle when I'm getting blood drawn, even if they're just rubbing alcohol pad on me. That's how, like, needle phobia, guts, blood, everything. I'm like, no. So I'm on the table with, the curtain and everything, and I got my mask and I got my epidural already, but the anesthesiologist is sitting behind me. My husband's like right next to me, and the OB starts to do whatever, and I'm just screaming and hooping and hollering, and he finally looks at me and he goes, "Can you feel it like a nip and a tug, or can you feel it?" And I'm like, "I feel everything." And all of a sudden, the anesthesiologist went like, eh, and I just went, eh. And then my husband's like, "What happened?" And he goes, "I just had to." Like, he had to completely knock me out. Because again, I'm just like, I swear I could still like feel everything. But again, I probably wasn't. But no, I can't deal with any and all of it. So I don't know if I would have been better off in natural birth or C-section, but either or, I'm just like, I think my 3 kids was enough for me and no more.
So, this one here for our middle daughter. Well, we had 3 children together. For our middle
Wow,
daughter,
you guys, you didn't waste any time with nothing. The marriage, the first kid. Wow. Okay.
She has without help. Each one of the children delivered the children herself with no help.
Oh
Matter of fact,
my.
our middle one was born at home in our own bed. We
No
did all the work
meds.
ourselves.
No meds.
We did no meds, no nothing. She
Oh,
reached
you're from a
down.
different planet. No way.
She caught the baby. She has caught every single one of them, and she's done all the work herself.
Let's just put it this way: we didn't have advanced medicine, either myself or my child would have died, because that's why I ended up in a C-section the first time. But I couldn't imagine just catching my baby like, whoop.
So
Wow.
our youngest was born in Cole, unassisted. So she was born in her placenta, fully intact. My water never broke with her.
So how did you catch her? What happened?
I had a water birth, and the midwives had just assisted me getting into the bath. And I was like, okay. And they're like, okay, we're going to go out of the room. Just let us know when you need anything. I'm like, okay, yep, I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to. And the door closes, and I'm like, oh, nope, I got to move. I kneel up on my knees, and I'm like, and I need to push.
And it just comes.
Yep. And so I reached down and I
But so when it was born in the placenta, it's like, I'm just assuming like this balloon, the baby in it.
She's still, I pull up her in her placenta. She is still fully in Cole. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever.
No, it's not. Oh my God. You're literally holding your insides and all. Oh my gosh.
Wow. What did you need us for? I'm like, because this big, beautiful, beastie man, as big and burly as he is, he's terrified when it comes
like
to
me.
that.
He probably passed out. He's like, you're on your own.
So when our second daughter was born at home, like, I was almost 2 weeks over.
And it still just like fell out of you.
I had my appointment. I drank the labor smoothie. I went home and had a nap. And I'm like, I'm done. Can we just have this baby already? So I woke up from my nap, and I have one twinge right here. That's it. One twinge. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go pee, and then we're going to go to the midwife. I made it as far as going pee and having a baby.
I just looked at the time, not to be rude. We can always have you come back next week, but we have 20 minutes left and we haven't even really gotten into the CPS stuff. Sorry. I like talking.
So, yeah. Our next
the
interaction with,
yeah.
Yep. My oldest, she had the axe. So then the next day we go have breakfast. Sorry. We go have breakfast. We come back home, and I drop Daniel and the 2 oldest girls and the youngest girl at the time. And I take the baby and my second daughter to the urgent care, because my second daughter swears that she broke her toe.
Yeah.
So even if you broke your toe, they're just going to duct tape it to your other toe.
Yeah, probably not much you can do.
But Mom, it's broken, and she's hopping. So we are leaving urgent care, and I get this call from Daniel. Where are you? And in the background, my oldest is screaming like I have never heard before in my life, in her life. I'm like, what is going on? And he goes, yeah, so I asked her to pack her desk 10 times as I moved and packed other stuff. And I'm literally waiting for her box from her desk and her desk so that we can take this load to storage. So the 10th time I asked her to pack her desk and she ignored me, and I walked back by and she was just sitting there staring off into space, I did the dad sweep into the box. And this started. How long until you get home? And I can hear he is trying his hardest to stay calm while she is screaming like I've never heard before. And I'm like, I'm just now leaving. Can you have her sit on the front porch and I'll talk to her when I get home? He goes, yeah, mom says get on the porch and she'll talk to you when she gets home. And she's still screaming, but I hear the door open and close and it gets quiet. I'm like, from her desk? He goes, literally from her desk. Okay, I'm almost to the light at this road and I'll be there as soon as I can.
Yeah. You're like, okay, first it's the axe, and now it's this over what shouldn't be. So something's really going on with her.
And I've never had her behave anywhere near like this. This is beyond anything. And so I call her mental health provider and I said, hey, this is what's going on. He said, take her in for a mental hold.
Because she started saying she wanted to kill herself.
Yep, she started saying that she wanted to die. She wanted to kill herself. Why can't she just die? She hated him. She hated me. She hated her dad. She hated his now wife. She hates everyone. Why can't all of us just let her die? And I'm like, I've never heard this from her ever.
Yeah.
So then enter my ex-husband calling the troopers enough that they call me and say, hey, this is Trooper J. I'm going to be over here because we've gotten calls. I'm like, cool. I'm waiting for somebody to show up to watch my 3 younger kids so that I can take her to the emergency room.
Like, who do you think called? Like neighbors?
Oh, he told me that my ex-husband called.
Your ex-husband, how did he know that she was doing what she was doing?
Because
she had run across the street.
Yeah, I forgot that part. So I called back after talking to her mental health provider. So this is like 10 minutes later, and I'm still 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
So I called Daniel back and I said, hey, can I talk to Ariana? Or sorry, can I see what's going on?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, hold on. He goes and opens the door and it's just quiet. And I'm driving, waiting, and it's just quiet, like the longest silence ever. She's not here.
She's gone. I knew it. Wow.
She's gone. And I'm like, me.
How old was she? How old was she at this time?
She was 14 at the time. She had just turned 14. And so I live. My child is gone. Can you please find my child? I need to talk to my child.
Was your ex living close by or no?
No.
No.
We lived across the street from a store.
Mm-hmm.
And so he locked his daughter inside with the younger daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And said, I'm going to go look for her. You know, we both have our phones with us. We'll call you if it's us at the door. Do not open the door for anyone. And she's 12 at the time.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, okay. So he goes across the street with me on the phone still and finds her. And customer service, she's on the phone with her dad. And the employees at the store, they're like, hey, you can't be doing this here. You can't be doing this here. We need you to leave. And he's like,
what?
yeah, she was causing a scene. because she was still hysterical over there and barefoot. She was barefoot.
Wow.
Which barefoot is not unusual for my children. But she was barefoot in the store. That part was unusual. So I get another call. I get like 4 calls from the troopers. And the trooper at this point, he's like, I understand that at this point, this is harassment by a cop, and you can absolutely tell me to F off. And I understand that. And I am so sorry, because I can only imagine what this is for you. My boss would really appreciate it if you would allow me to stop by and lay eyes on your oldest. Is that okay? And I said, yeah, that's fine. I just had a friend come by and get the other kids. So there's construction on the highway. Take the back road. We'll see you in about 25 minutes. He's like, okay.
Why do you
cool.
think he asked permission? If somebody's calling that many times, regardless if it's true or not, don't you think that they should still have shown up anyways?
You would think with that many reports, they wouldn't need permission.
Well, yeah, you would think that maybe you guys just have cops that are not cops that I've come in contact with, because I have yet to meet the nice cop, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But-
I have been very thankful that each of them that we have worked with have been very, because my experience has, like, as a kid, I was taken away 3 times.
Yeah, I just never had a good or pleasant interaction with a cop ever.
So,
Like,
you know,
if I was ever in need of like protection, those would probably be the last people I would call, because it wouldn't probably end in anything other than more problems. But so anyways, they show up and see your daughter, right?
Yep. He shows up, he talks to us. He says, you know, can we talk to her? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. You know, and we're just standing out by our side by side talking when he pulls up. So Daniel and I stay by the side by side, and they walk off a ways and they talk. We can't hear anything they're saying, and that's fine. He comes back and she sits by the side by side, and we walk away so that we can talk. And he says, why don't you have domestic violence protective orders? Because I've been denied them every time I've asked. Okay, here's what I can do. I can trespass your ex-husband. I said, what does that mean? He goes, basically, if he shows up here, I will personally show up and arrest his ass. Yes, please. Yes,
I know, but what do you think your daughter said to him to make him not only ask that, but then do that for you, considering she was calling her dad to make it seem like he was going to come rescue her from whatever her outlet?
We don't know. We don't know. So on our way to the emergency room with her, she was begging us not to take her. She's like, please don't. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. This is going to get so much worse if you do. Please, I promise I will never do it again. Please, can we just go home? I'll go to another appointment with my mental health provider. I'll have extra appointments. I promise I won't do this again. Please, can we just go home? I was like, dude, this is I've always told you
there is an outcry.
There are consequences for your actions. And your actions have led us to this point. I don't have any other options. Because of what you have done, I have to take you to the emergency room.
Because if you don't, and then something else happens, and they're going to come back at you and say, why didn't you take her to get her evaluated? Yeah.
Exactly. So we show up at the ER. And we're there until midnight. And the doctor still has not come in to evaluate her and see her. So at this point, I'm like, I have 4 other kids that I need to take care of, including a 4-day-old. And we've been in the ER for 4.5 hours now. And I don't even know if I'm allowed to leave my 14-year-old here. So I asked the nurse, I'm like, am I allowed to leave her here? She goes, oh yeah, that's fine. I was like, okay, so who do I come talk to in the morning? She's like, oh, the doctor will be around sometime. I don't know their exact schedule. So when you come by in the morning, they'll have information for you. Okay. So I leave. I go home.
How was your daughter about that?
She was upset, but understood that I needed to leave because I had the other 4 kids to take care of. That I had the 4-day-old baby in the car with Daniel that needed fed.
They weren't going to let her leave, though, if she tried to, right?
No, she was in a secured
Oh,
mental
room.
health lockdown.
Yeah.
So I left her there, and a friend came and sat with her, and then my ex-husband showed up. And we did not suspect anything. So I left just at like 12:05 in the morning. I show back up at 7 a.m. And I met at the nurse's station with a sticky note that has the contact information for an OCS caseworker because there has been an OCS case against us opened.
So wait, did your ex know that you were taking her to the emergency room, or do you think your daughter called him from the emergency room?
Nope. I told him because I had to tell him what was going on. We had joint legal custody. So I had
that's
to
when
tell
he
him.
decided to come down, and you happened to have left, and then he did probably everything that you found out when you got there in the morning.
So I called the caseworker, and she said, yep, there were allegations made, so I need to do a home visit, and I need to interview you and your children. And at this point, I'm like, I have nothing to hide. I'm like, we're in the middle of moving. Everything is chaos. I have a now 5-day-old.
Yeah, but see, my question is, how are they legally allowed to take your daughter from the hospital in that scenario? Even if they got an allegation, wouldn't they still have to show proof of the warrant to you as the parent before they can remove her from the hospital? Or no?
They never removed her.
Oh.
OCS
So she was still there.
Yep. OCS never once took custody of my children.
So what was the
OCS,
sticky note saying? Just contact them?
Yep. So we had a total of 8 investigations that we know of. Every single one of them, we did not know what they were until I just got the redacted version of our records, of my records. We don't even have his records. We have to get a court order to get Daniel's records. So, we still don't have the unredacted version, but we were never told the allegations.
Which is crazy.
The allegations we have been reading are horrific. And we have been investigated by OCS, by the Alaska State Troopers, by the Department of Safety, and sexual abuse against minors. Every single time, every one of them have come back recommending we get domestic violence protective orders against my ex-husband, and that my ex-husband needs to have supervised professional visitations with our daughters so that they can work on the familial relationship with them because there's unsafe boundaries being crossed.
Okay, real quick, again, I'm going to interrupt you because we have 5 minutes left, but we're nowhere near close to finishing your story. So if you'd like, I'll go ahead and schedule next Wednesday. But for our viewers, do you kind of want to put it at a point in your story that you can kind of close it but leave it so that we can open it up come next Wednesday if you'd like to come on?
Yeah, so my oldest went to what was supposed to be a 25-day residential crisis treatment facility.
Mm-hmm.
She ended up being there for 104 days.
Wow.
Before transferring to a residential treatment, where at every point her behavior kept getting worse the more interaction her dad had. And we did not know that there were more allegations being put out this entire time with his involvement. So, knowing nothing about OCS beyond they're really good at taking kids, knowing not a thing about guardian ad litems until going through the nightmare. We were waiting for the trial, for the custody trial.
Mm-hmm.
And we requested a guardian ad litem after our attorney asked. And my biggest regret, I think, is that asking for a guardian ad litem.
They don't automatically give you one?
No.
Well, no, I take that back because I was confusing that with the minors council. That's someone different, right? Yeah.
So if OCS had ever taken custody of our children, of our daughters, they would have automatically gotten a guardian ad litem.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Because OCS never took them, we were never supposed to have gotten a guardian ad litem at all.
Mm-hmm. But do you really think the guardian ad litem did anything to help you?
No.
Yeah,
No,
that's what I mean.
In fact, we had her report thrown out day one of trial.
Because they're supposed to basically just be a voice for the child, right?
That is what we were told. That is why we asked, because our attorney at the time said, why don't you have a guardian ad litem? And I'm like, what is a guardian ad litem? He goes, it's a voice for these two young girls who need a voice. Yeah, please. How do we get that?
It's just another setup. It's another piece to their puzzle, because anything that's related with them, therapists, anything, if they're in contract with CPS, they're just another piece of the puzzle to screw it up for you.
Yep. Yeah, she promised to see both of us charged with parental alienation and custodial interference if we did not force my two younger daughters with my ex to go with their dad as they were wetting and defecating their pants, refusing to go with him.
The story gets.
And that's coming from the guardian ad litem.
That is coming from the guardian ad litem, and I have it on recording, I'm pretty sure, because I recorded.
Because that's what the words from your, because those are the words that your children were speaking, I'm sure.
Nope.
Meaning, isn't she supposed to be the voice of the children?
So they were literally locking themselves in our car, begging not to be forced to go.
See, that's the point where it just becomes too much for anybody, let alone the actual parent. I remember that flashbacks when I would have a visitation once a week with all three. Like, the foster parents would bring my youngest to the center, and then a social worker would pick up my two older boys from school, and then we'd all have a visit together. Mind you, my husband never got to visit with all three of our boys through the whole case. He got to visit with me with my youngest, and then he got to visit with my two older boys alone, but we never got to visit all together and not all together with the husband and the kids. It was so weird. It was like, this child wasn't even born when these false allegations happened, but to think that that's the child I lost. Like, how does that even make sense? I don't know. But no, but I definitely want you to come back next week if you guys are available, because I want to hear the rest of your story, because I'm sure it's just as interesting as the first part. But
it has been a hellacious almost 3 years.
Well, let's just give our viewers and myself a little bit of a piece of the ending. Does anything end up right now today in good standing, or no?
Nope. I'm working. We are fine tuning our federal complaints right now to hopefully.
Do you still get to visit with your kids?
I have been denied being allowed to see my oldest. I have seen her twice since November 21st of 2022.
I just got goosebumps. Oh my God.
I have not been allowed to see my younger two daughters since December 30th. And I have not been allowed to have any of my court-ordered phone calls, video calls, since February.
See, I would be careful about that, because Darren says this all the time. I don't know if it's the same in your guys' in Alaska, but I know it is in California. Like, if they somehow can come up with a way to let 6 months go by of no physical contact with your child, that they could charge you with abandonment, and that's supposedly automatic TPR, termination of your rights. So I don't know if that.
We have 8 volumes of custody paperwork, over 90 motions in play,
Oh, wow.
where I've been actively fighting.
No,
for
I
our
see what you're
girls.
saying, but I just feel like because I know of that, and excuse me, Darren has said it too. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so everyone listening, don't take anything I say as legal advice. But I was just told that that's what they like to do to some situations, that they could, force your visitation or physical contact to be either paused or stripped for at least 6 months, and then they can turn around and say, okay, now it's abandonment, and that's automatic grounds for TPR. But you guys sound like you know what you're doing with 90 motions and whatnot. So I'm sure you have enough.
Trying to figure out this entire nightmare of a world.
But you guys haven't lost your rights, right? You haven't lost your rights?
Nope. My understanding is that it requires a criminal case, and this has all been civil cases this entire time.
Wait, say it again?
This has all been done through civil cases, not criminal cases.
Isn't all CPS cases civil cases?
Unless they're going to terminate your rights, they're supposed to be criminal.
Oh, that must be different in Alaska. Because I always wondered why, if you're getting a child abuse, allegation, I always wondered why there wasn't a criminal charge to follow.
It is supposed to be a criminal charge.
See, what we here in California, there's never usually ever any criminal kind of, like, we never got any kind of criminal case or that sort of thing. But I'm not too sure of the legalities of it. But I'm just surprised that your case is still ongoing though for this long.
Yeah, we have been trying to.
So when is your next court date, real quick?
We don't.
Or you
know
don't
yet.
have one?
The judge just recused himself. I've had the same judge since my divorce proceedings. He stated during the custody trial that he recognized the names come across the docket, so he took our case because he had the familiarity from the divorce.
So he could see us. He could do both family court and CPS?
CPS didn't take the girls.
Oh yeah, that's right. Maybe that's why everything for you is a little different.
Yeah, I don't wish it on anyone. I do know that.
No, I know. Well, it is after 6, and I know my producer has another show that's coming on. So for everybody watching, thank you for coming and tuning in. If you want to hear the next half of Athena and Daniel's story, maybe Daniel will get to take the floor a little bit more. We will hopefully have you back. We will have you back next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific. And if anybody again wants to be a future guest, you can call the number on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. My producer will get you scheduled and you can come on and share your story. So other than that, thank you everyone for tuning in, and come back next Wednesday to see the second half. Thank you, Athena and Daniel. I appreciate it. And then text me or whatever afterwards and we can find out for sure if you're available then. Okay?
All right.
Thank you. See you next week. Bye.